Yeah, so the idea came to us in 2015,
Mm-hmm.
And then we did the pitch event, like Ryan mentioned, in Fremantle, and won some money there. And obviously working in Fifo and being focused on wanting to start a business, we had some money behind us, of our personal funds, and then we just started, I guess. But we got some early traction, and the business really started to take off. And so we needed more than 6 days off to run the business.
Yeah,
so the business was sort of pushing its way into our workday.
Yep.
Because we ran the business for 1 year while we were still FIFOing.
Right.
So it didn't, any time we weren't at the mine, we were working on Life-Cykel.
Welcome to this week's episode of Fit4Fifo. And this week we have Julian and Ryan, who used to work in Fifo and now run Life-Cykel. Welcome to the show, guys. Thanks for coming on.
Cheers.
Firstly, we'll just let you guys know you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify and iTunes. Where can our listeners find you guys?
All of the above except Spotify. Yeah, we're not putting out any music yet, but
Okay.
Life-Cykel, Lifecykel, Instagram, Facebook, our website, but you can just Google search Life-Cykel mushrooms and we'll come up.
Cool. We'll dig a bit deeper into what Life-Cykel is a bit later on the show, though. Firstly, let's talk about your experience in FIFO and your story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely. Well, I mean, it's like 4 years ago we started the journey in FIFO. Jules and I were playing footy together actually, and Jules was a year into FIFO before me.
Yep.
Both very passionate about health, and Julian was working as a health and wellness officer for Rio Tinto in Paraburdoo in Western Australia.
Right.
And the opportunity came up to get a back-to-back going on an 8 and 6 roster,
Sure.
12-hour days, and I was working in community development in Western Australia in Perth, just really passionate to jump into something more health focused. And Jules contacted me and said, "Hey, I've got this huge opportunity coming up to join the team," and I was just so thankful for the opportunity to join. And working with guys to improve sleep, nutrition, exercise was very challenging.
Yeah. Sure.
But joining and learning the ropes to start with Jules was a really huge opportunity.
Right, nice.
Yeah.
And how long? So you were in it for 12 months before Ryan joined
Yeah,
you?
I came over from similar to Ryan. It's sort of one of those things where these sort of opportunities come up, and at that time, mining was just sort of booming, and so they couldn't get enough people into different roles, and so I guess referrals were important as well. So they had people that they could trust and things. So I was working in England at the time as a physio, and then similar, my friend was moving roles and just said, "I'll interview for this," and so that interview process and got the role, which was great because, like Ryan said, it was health in that mining sector around mental health, physical health, rehabilitation. So very passionate about that.
Sure. Was this was the health and wellness thing really starting to ramp up in a big way at that time? Or?
It was. It's new to mine sites in the sense of if we look at the wild west of mining over the last 30, 40 years, and many industries, construction and things, it's different sort of philosophies, but now when you're working 12-hour shifts, when you're working night shift, when you're away from home, your health and well-being is what can get you through.
Sure.
So it's very important, and I guess the companies are realising that in some capacity.
Yeah, sure. So I suppose a lot of the stuff you guys were learning at, so were the companies at the time, as a lot of new areas.
We had a lot of freedom to design the programs and stuff, which was good.
Wow. That's pretty cool. So
It was a dream job. 8 days on, 6 days off.
Okay.
Opportunity to work on our own endeavours when we're in Perth for 6 days a fortnight, whilst just being full on into the health and wellness when we were up there, and it was very very rewarding.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And what challenges do you guys find about working in FIFO?
We did enjoy the role, and I guess we sort of we're passionate about that, and we were getting a lot of wins in the sense of seeing people improve their health over a 3-month period quite dramatically, whether it was losing weight or lowering their blood sugar or just coming out of, I guess, a mental lull in terms of depressive thoughts and things. So we were getting a lot of positive results, was always great. Going into mining from other roles is it's very interesting, learning all the health and safety and what you can do and what you can't do, and how it's very regimented because of the the safety nature of the work and stuff.
Right.
That's just a new language that you're learning.
Yeah.
Going into mining versus other companies, but the challenges,
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the 4:30 a.m. wake up.
Getting up for those fly out days.
Yeah.
Is tough, and also, at times, the day before, I think everyone in mining's like, oh shit, I don't want to go back up there and things.
Yeah.
We didn't have a lot of that because I think we made the most. The key is to plan out your days off.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you get the most out of it.
Yep.
Which can be challenging.
Mm-hmm.
When if you've got friends and family that are working and you don't get to spend a lot of time with them and you don't cross over.
Yeah, sure.
But on the whole, I think we made the most of those 6 days off. So
yeah,
we definitely look back at it, with good memories.
I think the challenges mainly came, or for me, 2 years in, when it started to become, you start to realize more separation from friendships that you'd previously made, and but when you're first starting, you're just thrilled to be there, and you're thrilled to be on an increased wage and all these new things. So there was very few challenges to begin with, but then it came more harder as time went on.
Yeah, sure.
But I think we really did make the most of it. We're very, very thankful for the roster that we had and the position that we were working in, a field that we were passionate about.
Yeah.
When we said we were miners, people would often think, we'd be digging dirt and things like that. And people that know Julian and I know that that's not we're the last people to be in the garden and digging the holes and stuff. But no, so it worked out well for us.
Yeah, sure. I think you touched on a pretty important point with working in FIFO. I think you got to work so much harder to maintain those connections with friends and family, don't you? And you don't realise, and it almost sneaks up on you. It's like after working in it for a year or two, all of a sudden you're like, oh shit,
I haven't spoken to that person.
I haven't spoken to that person for a while, and it's like,
and then you start playing footy for the local team, or these kind of things that were previously part of your life fade out.
Yeah. Right. So working in your particular role, what were some of the observations that you picked up on surrounding physical and mental health?
I think it was the guys that were flourishing up there, doing really well, were at least aware of it. It doesn't mean becoming a gym junkie. It doesn't mean having a regimented diet. But they had tactics that worked for them.
Yep.
Which may have been walking before shift, walking after shift, speaking to loved ones on the phone regularly, making those connections. Yeah. Because when we talk about health, we just think, oh, are you going to the gym and what are you eating? But are you connecting with family? Are you connecting with other co-workers? All of those things as well.
Sure.
So people that were flourishing stood out because they had goals on their days off. They mapped out their days off very well, and they were I guess active in their planning for physical health, mental health.
I think they had a 3 to 5 year plan.
Right.
It was like, this is my exit strategy for mining, or this is my strategy to have a family whilst I am mining, or to become residential and bring the family up to the area where I'm working and stop flying in and out. All those things, and if they had a plan, it generally meant they felt really good about the present time, and they weren't digging themselves into a dark journey of the unknown, so to speak. Yeah. And some people you'd say to, what's the go? And they're kind of like, oh, I don't really know. I'm just working, and that's taking 1 week at a time. Yep. And I think that really worked detrimental to those guys. Yeah.
Sure. And were you guys encouraged to help, create these guys a plan, or help them motivate them, or inspire them?
Goal setting presentations, and that's actually when we started, we didn't know what we were going to do exactly. We just knew it was great for the time being. Yeah. 8 and 6 roster, good wage, something we're passionate about. But then we always knew we were going to go into business. And so I guess if people listening are thinking, oh well, I don't know what I want to do either, that's okay as well. Yeah. You just got to work through that. Sure. And just start thinking about it. Definitely. So otherwise 3-4 years don't pass by and you're still there and you haven't sort of on your path. Yeah. Yeah, I think something that I often think about is important to consider is having some sort of plan, whether it be just financial targets or time limit. If this is what you're doing, like construction, some people have lifestyle rosters like you boys, and you can sort of plan to do it forever. But if it's something you only want to do temporarily, the importance of having that plan, because once you get into it and you start earning more money, the goalposts move, and what used to be a large significant amount of money for you has now changed because you're used to earning more. So then it's like it just keeps getting pushed back further and further. So many conversations I had with guys that
had no money in their bank account, and they were earning 3 times the amount they used to make. But they had also increased their mortgage. They'd bought a boat. You know, they were treating their family to more gifts because they were away from home, so they were making up for it with the money and stuff.
Yeah.
And it became a trap. Yes. And that was sad, really sad to see that the way some guys were trapped by the position.
Sure, yeah.
And that happens in everyday life as well, where, you know, if you're a lawyer or a doctor or whatever you do in the cities, you also get trapped to that lifestyle.
That's true.
And they're equally as unhappy. So we think of mental health a lot to do with FIFO, but there's a lot of mental health issues in you know, the legal system and other professions. Dentistry is one of the highest.
Yep.
And they're all well-earning professions. So it's not about the money that's bringing that happiness.
Exactly.
So it's just something, I guess, to have perspective on as well.
Sure, yeah. And what tips or ways of encouraging people to like sort of avoid these sort of traps would you guys have?
Yeah. Well, I know we both did, but I personally spent a lot of time when I was up on site and in my journey of mining is doing a lot of self-development and like reading a lot of books about goal setting, mental health, values, and like just becoming a good person. So then I could stick true to my values, and I know that what am I measuring myself upon each year, and am I staying true to that? And then if it turns out that the values were changing, or if I was acting out of my values, then there was a problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's always a lot of time to read on a flight when you're flying regularly and all that kind of thing. So a lot of time spent in that space was vital. And
that's probably another good reason to stay in close contact with family and friends, because they're there sort of to keep you accountable in a sense as well. They can sort of pick up on any big changes, like you're saying. In yourself.
Yeah, it's probably just having that clear plan as well, and not, I guess, being seduced by, again, that money coming in and that lifestyle that you can have overnight, that instant gratification you can have overnight.
Yeah.
And then actually you're not paying in dollars for that, you're paying in time.
That's exactly
right. In the sense of, okay, if I buy that boat, what does that mean? It means I've got to stay here to repay that boat.
Yeah, sure.
Or that bigger house versus do I need that extra room, that extra this, versus I could get out of Fifo 1 or 2 years earlier.
Exactly.
Or something like that. So it's just doing that maths based on going in with a very clear set of what you want to achieve from it, and using it as an amazing opportunity. If you look globally, as the opportunity you have to work in mining and to earn such high amount of money in a short period of time, can be great. Which can catapult you into the next thing you wish to do.
Yeah, definitely.
Or you may want to stay out for a longer period of time. That's fine as well. But just don't be seduced, because I worked in the Premier League in the English Premier League, where players were earning £50,000 a week, £100,000 a week. And so I saw straight away that money doesn't equate to happiness, because most of the team were on antidepressants.
Really?
That was, I guess, I was lucky to see that, to be able to go, okay, that doesn't equate. Versus the story we're told in the media or social media that, I've got money, I'm happy.
Yeah.
And so that, I guess, made it very clear that, money was just a tool.
Yep.
And I'm going to use mining as a tool to help achieve some money to then do what we're passionate about.
Sure.
But just having that plan and not being skewed by that instant gratification through buying things that then cost our time later.
Yeah, which it's very common, isn't it? Like so many mates with all the latest Harley or jet ski or something. Yeah. It's pretty common. Yeah.
It's funny on that note as well. Like Julie and I did have the conversation when Jules first approached me. We did have conversations around our business endeavours and what our intentions were through the journey. So we had from the start an intention to formulate a business, and whether that started in 1 year, 10 years, we didn't know. But we both knew that we would support each other to work on ourselves individually as people, but also on our business endeavours as well. So I guess that was always in our back of our mind. Didn't know what time frame and all that kind of thing, but we were striving to do a great job so we could be effective on our time off. And grow through the journey.
Sure.
Yeah, making the most of your time. Like Ryan said, you've got planes up and back. You've got crib room downtime where you're waiting for shift swap or whatever it may be, or after you go back to your donga in the evening. There's a good block of time there. 1, 2, 3 hours where you can really maximise, which is a huge opportunity compared to if you're back home, where you're stuck in traffic, where you've got to do your shopping, your food, you just got to do the day-to-day stuff. So FIFO or mining is amazing because you don't have that admin time after hours.
Exactly. Yeah, you become highly
your
productive.
food's cooked for you and this and everything's close. You're not sitting in traffic.
Wearing the same uniform, don't even choose what you're wearing. You get up, you go to work. And it is an acceptance of the time that you spent was on a time of focus and narrowed focus, rather than getting back to the dom and watching TV or something that you could have been doing in another life, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. And did you boys were saying that you were talking about the future when you got into it, that it was clear that you wanted to get into business. Did you have much of an idea of what business it was, or was that just like, no, we'll get there eventually, we'll sort that out? Or?
We both had personal endeavours going on at the time that we're delving in, and we didn't know whether it was those endeavours or whatever it may be, but we knew that we wanted to live life on our own terms, and we wanted to develop something that we were pushing with our own values and sharing with the world. So the details were to come, but we, Jules kindly gave me the opportunity to join him up there with that in mind, that we would support each other to get something going, and whether that be together or separate, we didn't know either.
Yeah, sure. And that's an important note. Like, even if you're not sure exactly what it is you want in the future, like, you can still be working towards something that might, you might cross the path with someone and an opportunity comes up.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, you could want to be an amazing musician and be an amazing guitarist, and the time that you were spending FIFO up in your diner, you could be working on that, or it's a period of focus and no distraction and no admin and great income and something to build.
Definitely.
Yeah, it was almost like a training camp.
Yeah,
it is.
Because we spent time at the AIS and things, and that's it's just in Canberra, it's just a very focused place.
Yeah.
Where athletes are very focused on what they're trying to achieve.
Yep.
The Olympics is in 4 years, and that's just what they have on their mind a lot of the time, and they're very focused towards that.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do that in a mining environment.
Yeah.
It's like, what do I want to achieve?
Yeah. Yeah, it creates that environment for you, doesn't it? Yeah, sure. Now, in 2015, you boys founded Life-Cykel. So we'll dig deeper into it afterwards, like the transition, though. Just for now, do you want to tell us all about what Life-Cykel is exactly?
Yeah, it's definitely evolved. It started off as a hydroponic idea. We thought we'd do sort of hydroponics in terms of growing leafy greens and how will the future feed itself. How do we feed 9 billion people sustainably was sort of the question that we were throwing around in the crib room. And looking at, we just know that, animal protein production is very unsustainable. A lot of deforestation, a lot of chemicals used, a lot of resources used to grow the food for the animals. And so, it's just understanding we need to lower that intake. It doesn't mean we need to completely remove it from the food pyramid or from our diets, but we need to drastically decrease it for something that's healthy and delicious. We don't want to sacrifice taste or health, so we're just looking around at different options, and leafy greens was not going to work out for the average miner or male, wanting to substitute meat, but mushrooms ticked a lot of boxes.
Right.
So we started there. We started growing mushrooms.
I mean, there was like all these videos coming out at the time 3 years ago. I distinctly remember like David Wolf posting all about, and Pete Evans, and like really challenging the food systems and saying like, what do we need as a population to thrive? And it was definitely away from what we were currently consuming in the way we were accessing food. And Jules and I remember having conversations about like retirement homes where we could get elderly growing food and having meaningful participation in the community, and then creating business models off that. And it just stemmed into all these kind of different things, and we were throwing our energies into all different kinds of stuff until mushrooms was number one grown off coffee waste. So it was supported by the Fremantle Council to be turning a waste product into food. It was only took 2 weeks to grow. You could grow them on your kitchen bench. You just need to spray water with no experience, no labour. And we're like, this is where we're starting until we get our aquaponics ideas off the ground or whatever. And we never looked back because mushrooms offered so much more the further we looked into it.
Yeah, that's so cool. And so today, what's Life-Cykel? What products and services do you guys offer now?
We've gone into, say, traditional farming, into biotechnology, which just means a bit of science sprinkled into the farming, I guess. We have laboratories now, and we have a few scientists that work with us. Very quickly, we learnt that we needed some expertise in that space because we're growing off coffee ground. This becomes contaminated quite quickly. We wanted to use all natural processes, so no nasties or chemicals, and so to do that, there was just a bit of science involved to how we would make that work at scale. It's okay to grow 10 kilos, but how do you grow 100 or 200 or 300 consistently? And so then we've use those mushrooms to produce other products, such as the extracts we have here.
So you brought some samples.
Brought some samples to try out. So,
Right.
so these are lion's mane liquid extract, or there's a range of liquid extracts here, but it starts off as a mushroom, and we use extraction processes producing a liquid that these different mushrooms have different benefits.
Right. And so these are a concentrate, basically?
They're a concentrate. They're known as a medicinal mushroom or a functional mushroom, is their general term on Google and what people use.
Yep.
So we see them as functional mushrooms that can just fit into everyday life. You just essentially put them into your water or your coffee or your tea.
Yep.
And it's just a very simple way to consume these mushrooms. And get those health benefits.
Right. So what's
that's
here? Lion's mane.
That's lion's mane. So lion's mane's very popular for acting on the nervous system and the brain. So it's known as a smart mushroom, in the sense that memory, focus, concentration. You get a nice gentle uplift in energy. Not as much as coffee, where you're sort of a bit fuzzy and a bit wide and a bit excited, but not focused.
Right.
Sort of an uplift of energy with focus.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So now that's. So what do you usually just have, like a squirt of it?
That was so it fills automatically to 1 ml, and that's one serve, and you can have one serve.
Should I put more water in that? Or is that just down?
You can have it by itself as well. It's fine. Yeah.
Have a taste.
It'll be fairly mouth. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it'll have a subtle taste to it in that, but
I can sort of just slightly taste.
But if you have it in a normal glass of water or coffee or tea, that's what's very popular at the moment is mushroom coffee, where you're adding these extracts.
Oh yeah.
For an upgrade.
Right.
And so I guess coming from health and wellness, it was around how do you, increase your health or your well-being on a daily basis, and that disconnection from food was what we saw, and mushrooms just have amazing benefits.
Yeah, sure. And so what sort of, I suppose, supplements and stuff like that? So that one is for that uplift of energy. Is this cover like all areas of health and stuff? Or?
Yeah. I mean, Chinese and Japanese cultures have been using medicinal mushrooms for a very long time. For many different reasons. And we don't talk about the particular health benefits of any of the mushrooms specifically, because they're a product from nature, and they offer such a vast range of benefits, we believe, and we encourage people to research and find out themselves what different mushrooms can assist them to do. Sure. But we are very proud to be the only Australian grower of medicinal mushrooms, and to provide a double extract, which is the ethanol and hot water extraction process we use here in Byron Bay to produce these products. That we have profound amount of anecdotes and good news stories of people that have got phenomenal results from using the products. We'd like to not essentially prescribe in such a sense of why it could be good for you, because why it's good for you may be different to why it's good for Julian.
Gotcha, yeah.
But it's important to be consuming things that are from nature, most of all, and then to look into nature for improvements in health as opposed to pharmaceuticals.
So they're known as adaptogens, just as a key word. If you hear that word, or if you're it's like that buzzword adaptogens. So what Ryan means is, for you get a different benefit to me.
Gotcha.
Whereas we like to hear, this works on your liver, and we just like simple answers.
Yeah, right.
But this is where we hear different things from different customers, which is nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, your first question was all about where is Life-Cykel today, and where it's quite amazing where we said, okay, we're going to grow mushrooms from coffee waste and sell them to local restaurants, and we're also going to provide a product that people can grow their own mushrooms at home.
Yeah.
And that would inspire them to become more involved with food production and nature. That is probably 1/10 of our business today, because when we look at the mushroom, we look at the uses in a spectrum of different things, to providing health benefits for animals, to cleaning up textile waste from landfill.
Remember, there's a kingdom for fungi, so it outnumbers plants in terms of how many there are, 8 to 1.
Wow.
So there's so many out there that we just don't know what they could do for us.
Jeez.
So different keys unlock different doors.
Definitely. And you mentioned before something about some testing. So you do testing on like new mushrooms?
We've had testing done with the results for the animals that we've been able to provide with mushroom substances to increase their longevity.
And it's just looking at natural solutions.
Yeah.
I guess that's where we sort of come from. It's doing things naturally rather than short-term wins with with things we don't know a lot about in terms of chemical alterations. Nature has the answers.
Yep.
We just got to work with it, not against it.
Sure, definitely. And I noticed on your website, I saw a link about a little, some education programs you did with like children, or was it school?
Yeah, we've been doing fundraisers. We've been trying to, I guess, make the caramello koala extinct.
Yeah,
so
right.
Replace the caramello chocolate koala as much as we love it.
Yeah.
For mushroom boxes.
Nice.
So the kids are growing mushrooms, seeing that grow in front of them, connecting to food, connecting to recycling, and being a part of that. So,
yeah, that's a great idea.
Mushroom boxes are like a shoebox size kit that you can grow on your kitchen bench.
Right.
Spray with water twice a day, and they grow out.
Right. And then the children, do they sell them for fundraisers, the mushrooms?
They sell the kits.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
At least they could, actually when I went to school, I had, it was a chocolate drive. We had to sell them, and Mum ended up having to put all the money in the bag because I had all the chocolates. So,
we're all guilty of that, I think.
Nice. And so you had some other samples there of other stuff?
Yeah, I mean, that's an example of, that's mushroom honey. So,
right.
I mean, we're able to feed the bee population with medicinal mushrooms.
Yep.
Increases their longevity.
Really?
Fights off, diseases that they're currently facing, and create a beautiful premium honey that we can then bottle up and sell. So by purchasing mushroom honey, you're providing support for the bee population. Goes back into supporting substances that we can feed bees and support them.
So what we're finding, it was very much news to us, was that these bees were suffering from overuse of pesticides, disease, and monoculture cropping. So all these things were contributing to bee health, and bees, help produce so much of our food in terms of pollination.
Yep.
So the coffee bean, cotton, eggplant, a lot of different berries, the almond industry, they all rely on the bees.
Sure.
And so therefore, I guess if we have a low population of bees and diseased bees, then our food security is in danger. And so understanding that you can use some specific mushrooms, just like different keys to different doors, to feed to the bees, then you can help improve their longevity. And we did a trial in Canada, in Quebec, in a laboratory there to show that our extract, a specific one we have for the bees, improves it by the lifespan by 8.22%.
Whoa.
So bees only live between 35 and 45 days.
Okay.
But if you can increase that, then you can increase pollination, you can increase productivity.
Nice. That's interesting. So you guys have just dived into this world. It just keeps opening new doors.
We try not to confuse it as well. I'm like kind of tentative, like, what do I say? Because it's just very confusing. It's like mushrooms provide answers to many, if not everything.
Yeah. Definitely. Cool. So one of my next questions was going to be, how was this born? But I think you've sort of covered Life-Cykel, how it was born. But let's talk about the transition of when I suppose you first came up with the idea, and then when you jumped over to like running the business, like everything in between.
So the idea came to us in 2015, and then we did the pitch event like Ryan mentioned in Fremantle, and won some money there, and obviously working in FIFO and being focused on wanting to start a business, we had some money behind us of our personal funds, and then we just started, I guess. But we got some early traction, and the business really started to take off. And so we needed more than 6 days off to run the business. So the business was sort of pushing its way into our workday.
Yep.
Because we ran the business for 1 year while we were still FIFOing.
Right.
So it didn't, any time we weren't at the mine, we were working on Life-Cykel.
Sure. And you guys were back to back, so did that help?
We started off back to back 8 and 6, and then halfway through that period we went to 5, 2, 4, 3.
Okay.
So that we had just had our weekends and every second Friday off.
Yeah. So was that 5 on 2 or 4 on 3?
Yeah.
Sure.
And that was more challenging, but we had more time in the evenings, and it just really got to the point where we just had to just take the risk and go, all right, we're out. Like, we're putting all of our time and energy into this.
Yep.
And trusted in it, and made it work, because the best way to make plan A work is not to have a plan B.
Yeah.
But have a smart plan. But even then, you still got to jump.
Yeah. Exactly.
And you're never going to jump from the same salary.
Yep. Exactly.
There's always, because businesses take time. It's like a young born baby. You've got to give it everything and give it the resources. So it wasn't like a straight swap.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we've got to go back to go forward.
Yeah.
Which we weren't focused on the money.
Yeah.
We're focusing on just building something great that we're passionate about.
Nice. Yeah, that's such an important point, I think, to raise, that like chances of going from like a FIFO wage straight into a business that's like comparable is pretty slim. Like, you've got to take that step back, haven't you?
Yeah. Ryan led the way and jumped out of the business first. So,
Yep.
Yeah, that was good, because you sort of, it's a very uncharted territory.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of decision making on that one, but you just know when it's time you have to.
Sure. And what was the biggest challenge taking the step?
I really feel like there was no doubt. Like at the time, there was no fear.
Right.
So there was no challenge in making that decision, because if there was, I wouldn't have done it, or we wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
I think.
So it was very clear for you.
Yeah, we weren't leaving any room for failure, I think.
And what about, was there any unforeseen like roadblocks that got in the way after you'd made the decision, or any things you just didn't expect? Or
There's a roadblock every day. If not 20. But we're in the full-time job of problem solving.
Yep.
Like, we have a team of roughly 12 to 15 staff now.
Mm-hmm.
We have a board, we have investors, we have, management team, we have reporting, we have all these things, and we can't predict what's going to happen today or tomorrow, and we just got to be on the front foot for looking for solutions the whole way through, and whilst the business grows, and whilst we're creating new solutions and commercializing them and growing abroad. Like, Julian will be in the US next month, and there's challenges. It's a matter of accepting there's challenges. But they're not going to stop us.
Mm-hmm. So, what advice would you guys have for maybe some other guys or girls working in FIFO that are considering taking the step out of it, maybe into business or a new occupation?
Yeah.
I mean, we did sit on it we did cultivate it for a year, as well. Mm-hmm. So we didn't just jump straight out.
Yes.
Which is important as well.
Yep.
To do as much groundwork as you can, but then know that at some point you're gonna jump, or you're gonna go out into that world.
Yeah.
You have to have product market fit, and you've got to have, like Jules was saying, it's 12 months in the making. So it's not like, I want to start a business, I'm leaving mining tomorrow.
Yeah.
It was like, I want to start a business, I'll run a business for 12 months whilst I'm mining.
Sure.
I'll get so many customers that I have confidence that this product is in demand.
Yep.
I'll get enough funding in the bank to back us up for the next 6 months, buy stock, have the support of media, have an accountant, have been able to run a business. It needs to be established, it needs to be running, not just an idea. And it was far from an idea by the time we left.
Well, we'd already had a couple of business learnings, a couple of little things that we'd started, so there was a little bit of learning there as well.
Okay.
Which helps.
Yeah. And did it help massively having a business partner and someone you just know and trust, I suppose?
I think it's very important.
Yeah.
That trust part, because then you just know that they're out working and you're working and you're in it together, and you can have bad days.
Sure.
And you've got someone to talk to, or you can celebrate the wins as well. But we've got friends who are in businesses by themselves. It seems pretty lonely.
Yeah,
Seems
gotcha.
tough.
Yeah.
Not that it can't be done, but I think that's a lot tougher.
Definitely. And those days of doubt, the other person's there to pull you through.
Yeah.
And
there was so much celebration. I mean, it's important, so vital to celebrate the wins.
Yeah.
Because we are faced with so many challenges and things to do. There's never a many amount of things to do. But because Jules and I were both experiencing the same challenges, the rewards were so much larger, and we both felt the same experience. I mean, we could call our parents and say, tell them the wins they had, and it wouldn't be nowhere near as exciting as the way that we could share that together.
Experience it together.
Yeah.
You're in the trenches together.
Yeah, for sure. And what about, you guys working together and running a business together? Was that testing on the friendship?
We were definitely chatting every day.
Yep.
It was good though. Yeah. We don't chat as much now because we're just the business is big.
Yeah.
So we're just our own domains in a way,
Right.
Still great, but I'll let Ryan speak on behalf of the friendship, but I was pretty happy with it.
Yeah, I mean, we were still playing tennis after work,
right.
Running a business as well. But I mean, I think that's been the cornerstone of the success we've had, is that we've been able to be aware of balance and the importance of it. Because what's the point of doing it if you're not enjoying it?
Yeah.
And I really feel like it's not work You know, like it's really rewarding to have team meetings and like see the way our staff are engaged with the mission and they're creating new opportunities for the people and the environment and the world.
Yep.
Because they believe in what we're doing and we believe in what they're doing and we're sharing that together.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was Easter long weekend just gone and like I had a lot of time to relax because the phone's not ringing as much.
Right.
But I was also really empowered to be creating some new strategies and like, you know, doing some work, what you would class as work, but it's fun.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's empowering.
That's awesome.
I'll also mention that I have seen other business partners have clashes as well. Like, and it's been a rare thing where Jules and I have been able to kind of keep our egos aside. I mean, we have disagreements regularly, but it's healthy because we have different perspectives and then we can come together and then decide on what the right decision is. And I have never really seen it work so well. Or I mean, I'm living it, but I feel like it's been a great benefit or a rare thing that we've been able to stay respectful of each other and not let anything get in between our friendships or business.
Yeah, leaving ego at the door, you know, not taking it personally. You know, because, yes, we're friends, but you shouldn't agree on everything. Otherwise, there's no creativity or problem solving because you're looking at things exactly the same. So, it's, you know, that's just being honest with yourself and being like, okay, his idea is better and that's the right one. Let's go with that. And it's not like I'm holding on to that because it's my ego. That's important.
So take an objective view whenever you can.
Yeah, exactly. It's not personal. We just want the best for the business.
And were you guys friends for quite a while before this?
2 years, 1 or 2 years.
Oh,
we were playing footy together in WA.
Okay.
And I grew up in Melbourne, but came over to WA. And Jules was living with my good mate. And we'd like met a few times, but then we had a good solid year playing footy, and then we started working together.
Right. And so do you find, or would you agree that you both had a pretty similar mindset with different with opinions and stuff like that?
In business or
just in general, I suppose.
We saw the world very similar.
You
know, people need to connect to growing food, connect to nature, remove the nonsense from their life. That is, you know, coming from outside and not what they really want. So we had those foundational values that were the same. The details are always a bit different, but that's, you know.
Yeah, cool.
I think we were both always seeking truth as well. We were like, what's the truth behind this? Like, why are we really eating wheat bix for breakfast?
Yeah, right.
You know, that kind of thing. It's like, is that what we should be doing? Is that what nature intended? And we were always curious. So then we shared that passion and that kind of, when we learned new things, we'd share it with each other and then kind of start a business.
Sure. Yeah, because that seems like a short time, like 2 years, and you must have really sort of clicked really pretty quickly, eh?
Yeah. I mean, the friendship and the connection to each other developed so much stronger after we started the business, of course.
It's a good point because it's not like, oh, I can't start a business until I find someone that, you know, I've been with for 5 years.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just works. The key to all of it is just doing it. Just swinging the bat. The worst thing is not swinging the bat. And just thinking, oh, I shouldn't because of this.
And sitting and waiting for the perfect time.
I mean, a lot of people will say, oh, well, I spent all this money on a business and then it failed. So, well, you spent a lot of money that you could have spent on a university degree and learnt a lot more just running a business.
Yeah, and you come out with all the lessons and skills and experience that you've accrued through that time.
Exactly, yeah.
And so any of our listeners, if they are interested, could they jump on your website, Life-Cykel?
Yeah, we've got a link on our Life-Cykel website.
So there's an opportunity for any of our listeners.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, so, a bit off topic, but knowing what you know now from your experience in life, let's say you were to give some advice to a 17-year-old Julian or Ryan, or about life in general, what would that advice be?
Yeah. Do you want me to go?
You for everything. There's right on fire here.
I would, I mean, this day and age, if I was 17, I wouldn't go to university. I did go to university in my time, and I felt like it wasn't important then. But I feel like the learning opportunities that are available through the internet and everything now means that you can go out there and learn anything and do anything you want. There's endless. So looking back then, I would tell myself, observe and listen to nature and learn what you want and go out there and do it, as opposed to spending 4 years extra in a classroom and then going out and trying some stuff and getting a feel for what what might work in life.
Sure.
Because it wasn't really, I didn't know my purpose in life until I was running Life-Cykel with Jules.
Right.
And I felt like it could have come a lot earlier in my life,
Mm-hmm.
and I would have been 10 years in front.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, I think, you know, the school system a little bit, people come out of the school system being high school thinking, oh, I failed.
Yep.
But it's never that, it's that the school system is failing people and students because it's not tuning into their passions or not allowing them to express their passions.
Yeah, sure.
And that's fine if you don't know what your passion is. It will come to you because it's like this feeling, you know, it just clicks.
Yep.
And it's just the most amazing feeling. And so I think for Ryan and I, that's happened, you know, so we can talk in hindsight that we were lucky enough to find our passion and doing that now and living that every day.
Yeah.
But the key is to not give up on that either, like not just, I guess, say, okay, well, you know, I've done this degree or I've not done this degree or I didn't do well at school. So I guess it's just to keep listening to what you want to do and just go for that. And when you know what that is in any direction, whether it's being the best real estate agent or being the best in this profession, or just find mentors in that space.
Yep.
And like Ryan said, you know, 4 years at uni. I mean, I did uni, it was good, but I'm not using any of it now.
Yeah.
You know, and I spent a lot of money on it, but at the same time, it taught me how to learn.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's good.
That's really important.
You know, just learning how to learn is important.
Yeah.
But you can do that without university these days.
Yeah.
You know, you can do that through YouTube, through Google, and through specifically mentors as well. So I think if, you know, saying to my 17-year-old self, it's just spend time by yourself figuring out what you want to do, and then go and find people who inspire you, and have a coffee with them or go speak to them and seek them out and ask them for advice and guidance, and go down that path and don't get distracted by other people's views on what you should be doing.
Yeah, sure.
I think that, and that's even from loved ones. You know, loved ones will say, oh, you know, you should be an accountant or you should be this, but it's not what you were here to do. I think Ryan and I are both lucky that our parents were just unconditionally loving and got out the way.
Yeah, right. Very supportive. Yeah.
They just let us do what, and you know, two guys from a health background going out and starting a mushroom business sounds crazy. 3.5 years ago.
Sure.
And then everyone's like, oh, great idea.
Yeah, sure. Good work.
3.5 years ago, we copped it.
Sure,
we
really.
were copying it from friends. What do you know about mushrooms? Why are you growing mushrooms? But, you know, we just sort of knew there was something there and it was good. So it's also, it's definitely silencing the voices outside and listening inside to what you want to do.
Yep.
And just following that.
Right.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, for sure.
I think you're right there, because there's so many outside forces telling us what we should be, what we should look like, what we should say, how we should act, blah, blah, blah. And with all the modern day technology, creating robotic type AI and replacing humans for doing jobs, the most vital two things that we can offer, I believe, is creativity and curiosity.
Right.
Because these are human traits.
Yeah, of course.
And the human traits are the ones that we need to like hang on to and like really let flourish.
Definitely, yeah.
Because, you know, if we're focusing on calculating numbers, there's a machine that can do that.
Exactly,
you know?
yeah.
So I think that's key.
So I think discretion also is really important, like, because people are starting like to. There's so much. We're so connected to our phones now that we're getting to a point where we trust our phones more than our own intuition in certain situations, which you see like on a regular basis. Yeah.
And it's distracting our intuition because we're just not spending any tech-free time in isolation thinking.
Yep.
You know, just going for a walk in the forest or on the beach, or just so much clarity comes when you do that.
Yeah, sure, definitely. Just going back to what you said before, Ryan, you were saying how you probably wouldn't have gone to university. Would it also be fair to say that you're still, like, you don't regret any choices you made because they've sort of taken you to where you are now?
Absolutely, because when I did go to university like 10 years ago, the learning opportunities weren't what they are now.
Gotcha.
So I'm definitely talking on today, sense of today, but I'm also talking in the sense of me.
Yep.
Because if I wanted to be a physiotherapist in this day and age, I would need to go to university, and I would, because you need to learn particular skills.
Yeah.
But if I wanted to be a business owner or an entrepreneur in this day and age, I would go out there and do it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And also going back to when we're talking about some of the challenges you faced when you first stepped out of Fifo into your business, now that I've heard what you said about outside influence, would you say that was probably one of the biggest challenges, like people sort of bagging you out, putting shit on you, or, you know, trying to put doubt in your mind in a sense, not directly, but...
Yeah, it's I think that's personality traits that Jules and I both have that we never really.
We don't listen to people.
Yeah, because if that's what they were saying, that's even more motivation to do it.
Yeah, sure.
In some sense.
Yeah.
Like
You've got to listen to who's saying it as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, other people that you look up to and just are genuinely happy.
Yep.
Or are they saying it from a place of themselves maybe not being so happy?
Yeah.
You know, and then being, you know, you can't do it because I didn't get to follow my dreams in a way. And
Yeah, right.
you know, but everyone should just go on that path of going and following their passion.
Yep.
And I think you see that people just, you know, that flame dwindles because other things get in the way, and that ecosystem of support is not around them.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where I think it's very important to cultivate your friends and people you hang out with that become very supportive.
Yeah.
And want it as much as you.
Yep.
I think we got very good at asking the question why. Like, hey Jules, come drink beers at the pub on Sunday.
Yeah.
You'd be like, why?
Yeah.
Like, what am I going to get out of that, as opposed to like building my website, or like what is the whole intention behind it?
Yeah, gotcha.
Or like, you know, go to uni and be an accountant. Like, well, why? Or like, what?
Yeah.
Do this. Why?
Yeah.
Yeah, just playing out that chess game. Where does that get me?
Sure.
And where do I want to get to? And is it aligned? Yeah, but you know, it's also, you just got to have fun as well. It's not like just all business, but yeah, just listening to that is important.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think when you're 17, it's hard because you don't know what you want.
Yeah.
And you're told, what do you want to do? You know, that's the first thing you're told. I don't know who I am.
Exactly. Yeah.
So like, you know, probably be just, you can have as many experiences as possible.
Definitely.
Travel, different friendship groups from different circles, different ages. Just get out of your comfort zone. You know, I grew up in Harvey, I left there. Ryan grew up in Melbourne, left there. So it's good to jump out of that comfort zone. Allows you to learn who you are.
Definitely. Right. So one last question. So a habit or a belief which has had the most significant impact on your life, and a new habit or belief in say in the last 5 years it's had the most significant impact on your life.
This is going to be very Byron Bay to say,
say
meditation.
Yeah.
But meditation is that silence time,
Mm-hmm.
and it just gives you clarity.
Yeah,
and,
sure.
And it's just, I guess, washes away the stress.
Yep.
When there's so much, and everyone's got stress today. Whether you're a stay-at-home mum or a minor or, you know, a lawyer or whatever role you play, you have stress in your life. You know, because there's so many tasks to do on a checklist every day. So it's like, just how do you quiet that, silence that, and slow it all down, and I guess find a place of good well-being.
Yep.
And meditation has definitely helped with that. I'm not an expert. I'm a long way off being a Buddhist monk. But just doing it for 10, 20 minutes.
Just the practice each day.
Just doing it each day as a habit.
Yeah.
Early morning.
Sure.
It's definitely been an advantage.
Yeah, and it's a big movement at the moment, and I think it's becoming a lot more accepted in like all different areas. Like myself, I practice it, and I've got a lot of friends, even really masculine friends that probably would have one day in the past like put a lot of shit on someone for doing it. Now they're giving it a go and seeing like massive benefits from it. It's really good.
Yeah. For me, like a habit is really becoming aware. I think like, awareness is a new habit,
right?
And that becomes like knowing the details in every aspect of what is happening in the world, or what is happening in my world, what's happening in the world, what's happening in the community. Because I think in the fast shift with technology brings a whole new scope of ways of lifestyle changes that affect our health, our well-being, our friendships, our connections, our nutrition, the air we breathe, like just everything.
Yeah.
So I think with this fast pace of change in lifestyle, I think we should be aware. So I spend time in the evenings just reading or like watching videos about people's opinions and hearing different people's opinions about what's happening in the world.
Yeah.
You know, with like 5G rollout, for example, with all kinds of, scarce mindsets around radiation, like just becoming aware of what's happening in our world and questioning why, and not just accepting things for what they are.
Yeah.
So that's become an important habit for me. And like a belief is that intuitively, I think we all know the answer from our intuition for any question we may have. And that's like a connection to being out of our mind headspace or believing programs and looking within and saying, how do I feel, and like what are the right decisions for me?
Yeah. It's a good response from both of you. Yeah, it's good. I've just got one more question, even though I said that was the last one. Do you have a book, like a favourite book that you could recommend to anyone, or if you were, I suppose, to give a book as a gift, what would that book be?
Yeah, I got one called Meditations.
Okay.
From Marcus Aurelius. So Marcus Aurelius was in Gladiator and portrayed as a warrior, but and it was a Roman emperor, but he was a stoic, which means that's a certain type of philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
And it just gives you a lot of perspective in terms of, I guess he saw a lot of people pass away and saw that front on, and so just perspective around what's important.
Right.
Ego death, understanding that we're all going to pass away at some point. So we're not that important in some respects.
Yeah.
And then just that understanding of impermanence as well, which is really around the idea that things come and they go. And so not having too much attachment on things, because that can just, we can be our worst enemy.
Yeah, for sure.
So that book was, it's just short sentences, and you only need to read a couple of sentences a day, and that's enough just to go, okay, it really sort of reaffirms, a philosophy that, I guess enables perspective and no attachment to the things that don't matter, and just humbles you.
Yeah, right. That sounds good.
Yeah.
And it's quite an easy read then.
Very easy in the sense that you can just read a couple of lines. It's not so much a story, it's just excerpts of his thoughts while he was on a campaign around the world, in war, seeing people die, seeing all these things firsthand.
Yeah, wow. Sounds good.
There's a lot of good YouTube clips on people that talk about that book. Throughout all self-development kind of topics, Stoicism is popular, and and like you read, most people have read that book and like spoken about the philosophy. Is pretty empowering.
Yeah.
The book for me, I haven't read many books, to be honest. I do a lot of like YouTubing or like taking excerpts and stuff. But I read a book called The Code of the Extraordinary Mind, by Vishen Lakhiani, about 2 years ago, and that's when I started getting into meditation as well.
Yeah.
And it was just all about identifying beliefs and programs that are in us that affect our emotions in every single day and how we act. And some of those beliefs are not serving us, are working detrimentally.
Yeah.
So it was all about just the way the mind can be so extraordinary if you can untap the way it's been built and kind of unbuild it.
Yeah.
Strip away all the programs and all the things that are not serving it.
Yeah. Like stories that we create in our head about something instead of focusing on the facts.
Yeah. Or like just emotional reactions you had to things in your life when you were a child that you attached to something that was inaccurate.
Sure.
Like mum might have said, she looked at you angrily and said something, and it made you as a young child believe she didn't love you or something.
Yeah.
But it was completely out of context, and that stays with you for many years.
Yeah.
Yeah, the stories we tell ourselves.
Yeah.
Very important.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Oh, that covers everything. It's been really good having you guys on the show. It's been a great chat. Just before we finish up, is there anything else that you guys would like to share? Maybe any tips or advice for FIFO workers
I think that's...
or their families?
I mean, it sounds like I love your intention of the podcast, and it sounds like there's going to be a host of different resources through this podcast where people share their anecdotes, and you have links to it for people to live life in FIFO and flourish. So thanks to you for doing that. Thanks for having us on. And I think, that the listeners will, over the years, gain heaps of experience and knowledge from you.
Oh, cheers. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks. All right. Just to finish up, so you can find us on, as I said before, Spotify, iTunes if you're listening, Facebook, YouTube if you're watching, and also on Instagram. Don't forget to hit subscribe on YouTube. And for you guys, where can our listeners find you?
Instagram, Facebook, and our website. Yeah, so we have Life-Cykel.com, Lifecykel.com. And I'm not sure who came up with that name, but it's been 3.5 years of people not being able to spell it too well, but that's okay. It comes up whenever you put in. But...
Now, you were also saying that you're on some other podcasts. Do you dig deeper into life cycle and mushrooms and stuff?
Everyone's sort of a bit different. It's been great to talk FIFO. It's really brought up our previous life there and things, and we thought, we've sort of come out the other side pretty happy.
Yeah.
So we just hope a lot of others can do the same.
Yeah, sure. What are some of the podcasts you're on?
Plant Proof.
Yep.
Mark Boris podcast, the Uncommon podcast, an Amaret's one. What was Amaret's one?
Inspired Evolution.
Inspired Evolution, Uncommon. So yeah, it's a mix and match.